I love reading and trying new tabletop role-playing games. If I had to master a new game before I ran it, I'd never get it to the table, so I don't master it. Hey there, adventurers. I'm Judd, and this is Short Rest Studios, where we believe fun builds community. If you followed this channel for any length of time, you've heard me talk about everything from Daggerheart to Mothership, and you want to try one of these games, but you're going to have to be the one to run it. But don't worry, you don't need to master the game first. Just use the tips I'm about to give you. And I'm also going to throw a couple of shortcuts in there, and there's a quick tip at the end of this video that will make you look like you got it all down. Right off the bat, you have to ask yourself, what am I doing this for? I don't really know you, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's probably for fun. If the point is to have fun, well, you can do that whether you master the rules or not. As long as you and your players are on the same page, we're here to have fun, and they're the kind of people you actually want to have at your table, it's all good. They'll be patient. You're not pressuring yourself. That's a recipe for fun. That is actually the key. Be upfront with your players. You're not expecting to master the game or for them to. I say this all the time. Some of y'all might be sick of hearing me say it, but give yourself and your players the freedom to make mistakes, to look up rules, to ask questions when you need to, and to improvise. And this is especially okay if you don't know if you're going to play that particular game again or not for a long time. Read the rule book. You don't have to master all the rules, but you should read the whole thing. It'll take you some time, but it's worth it, dare I say necessary, to at least touch every core rule. So what if the game you want to play has multiple core rule books, like say 13th Age 2E, which has a Game Master's Guide and a Hero's Handbook? Read both cover to cover. It might feel daunting to read a 300-page rule book, but most of that content is not the core rules. I said read it cover to cover, but I think you can skim things like spell lists, magic item appendices, and even bestiaries. It's like contextual reading. You're reading those stat blocks and spell descriptions to see what can happen, not to remember every detail. You might find it helpful to watch some videos that demonstrate the game's core mechanics. Anything that'll give you a decent handle on the primary stuff is going to be helpful. But that's not absolutely necessary because the core rules of the game will come up repeatedly, even in your first session. Before you get too far into it, especially with the experience you already have with other games, you'll have a good grasp of what makes the game work. There's only one shortcut to this that I'd recommend. If the game you want to run has a Quickstart guide, grab it. Read it as many times as you can stand it.
Speaking in Dwarvish, drew a flat reply. No trespassing. Before the feral ashen wights advanced, crystal shards jutting from ruined flesh, fire blossomed among them. Agrippa and Zavor cut them down. German's holy axe turned one to ash.
Adventurers, that's a recap of one of my most recent sessions made by ScribeQuill. ScribeQuill uses AI technology ethically. All the art and music are created by real artists who are paid for their work. Even the voices are licensed from real voice actors, and your info is never used to train AI models. All you do is upload an audio recording of your session and you get a full audio transcription, text recaps, a session outline, iconic quotes from your players, audio and video recaps, a self-updating campaign wiki, and a shareable web page. $20 gets you 5 sessions of notes, and the first one is free. Check out ScribeQuill at scribequill.com. Before you sit down at the table, make a cheat sheet. If you've got all the stuff you think you'll need to remember laid out right in front of you, it'll be super easy to access when things come up. It'll make you look like you got the rules down when it doesn't take you 30 minutes of flipping through a book or Googling something. Plus, making the cheat sheet means that you're looking at the rules again. Not only that, you're synthesizing the info because you want to boil it down into bullet points or as close as you can get to bullet points. And that's really helpful with some games like Dungeon Crawl Classics. Now, I love DCC, but it loves walls of text that sometimes make it hard to find what you're looking for. Boiling that down and clarifying it is only going to help you out. As a shortcut, if the system you want to try makes a good GM screen, it might be worth grabbing that and using it as your cheat sheet. For example, there's a really great one in the Nimble box set. Of course, You want to familiarize yourself with the layout so you can find things quickly. Before you get the game to the table, you should know who's playing. And if you've got someone who's played the game before, don't be afraid to use their experience. I know this is hard for a lot of GMs. We often have a reasonable fear that a rules lawyer player is going to undermine us. And the truth is, you want to be careful with this. Giving the wrong player this kind of trust will make the experience no fun for anyone. Be intentional about who you choose. Even in my regular 5e game, I do this. I have a player who knows the rules back and forth, and he's a good guy. I often ask him questions or ask him to clarify something. Part of a game master's job is leadership, and delegating is good leadership. You want to start with a one-shot. I don't want to dampen your excitement for a new game, but a couple things will probably happen here. If you jump into Shadowdark with a year-long campaign idea and you're trying to convince folks who've never played it to commit to that, it's most likely not going to go well for you. But if you say, hey, I'd like to try running Shadowdark, would you be down to play in a one-shot? That's a lot easier to say yes to. And if you do manage to get enough folks at your game table to start a campaign, what happens when you and or your players realize you don't really like this game? I mean, you're going to like Shadowdark. It's just a hypothetical. What if you decide you don't like it? You've wasted a lot of prep time and you've lost your enthusiasm for the game. In the course of running a one-shot, though, you're giving yourself and your players the freedom to see what you like and what you don't, to try things out. And that puts less pressure on you. And you'll probably find that even if you decide in the end that Shadowdark isn't the right long-term fit for you and your party, you enjoy the game more. One of the toughest things in TTRPGs is keeping things flowing, and trying to answer rules questions is one of the most obvious culprits in the slog. So if you have to look something up, put a time limit on it. And make that time limit public. Let everybody at the table know that you're going to look for an answer for a minute or two, however long feels reasonable to you. And then you're just going to make a call so you can move on. Once again, if you have the right people in your game and you're upfront about it, they'll be cool with it. And if you make a point of finding the answers when you have time after the game, the problem is solved for next time. You can also ask players to look stuff up for you when it's not their turn, to keep from slowing you down when you need to keep moving, but they should still have a time limit. I'm running a campaign in Nimble right now. I'm still not an expert by any means. I have to do stuff like this sometimes, but there's one tool that has helped me find the answers to my questions quicker, so I make fewer of those arbitrary calls. If you have your rulebooks in PDF, Mike Shea over at Sly Flourish created an incredible browser-based search tool for the contents of a PDF library. It does take some technical knowledge to get it up and running, but I think it's worth it. There's also a free tool that's much easier to install called Doc Goblin that works similarly. But personally, I think Mike's app is more robust. I'll drop links to both of them in the description. Now, if you really want to kick things up a notch, prep your cheat sheet and your one-shot scenario in tandem. Because while the core rules are, of course, important, the scenario you're running is going to let you know what less obvious rules you need to remember. If you're running a draw steal adventure, yes, you probably want to include information on your cheat sheet on how spending Malice works. But if your scenario doesn't call for a montage test, there's probably no reason for you to have those rules on your cheat sheet. Focus on what you need, and there'll be less stuff you have to look up during play. Adventurers, if you wait to master a game, you'll probably never get it to the table. So take my advice and get started having fun. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you found this helpful, please drop me a comment, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to keep up with what's happening at Short Rest Studios. And please consider supporting the channel by joining the Adventurers Guild at patreon.com/shortreststudios or by hitting the join button right under this video. We've spent all this time talking about how to run a new RPG. Check out this video for 10 epic systems you need to try, and I'll see you next time on Short Rest Studios.